marriage during the holidays podcast. Here's our third question from Lorraine and Val in North Carolina. Here's the situation with Lorraine and Val. They have a blended family. And Lorraine says this: I just want to know, how do we blend these two families together so we can have a joyous and memorable holiday season? Well, here it is, Lorraine and Val. The first thing you need to do is set boundaries. We need to have boundaries not only in a blended family, but in every marriage. But in a blended family especially, you got to know what your boundaries are as a couple and then communicate that to all the sets of children that need to be communicated to.
What do we mean by boundaries? Well, you have to, as a couple, understand and develop, this is what we will and won't do for our extended families. This is what is acceptable and not acceptable behavior for our extended families. You know, I'm not going to allow my kids to speak about my new wife in that way or in this way, to really set those boundaries. In fact, we've just had a boundary setting time in our life. Our son went away to college. He's now coming back as an adult during January, for the entire month of January. So
Who's been living in a dorm room.
Yeah, been living in a dorm room, throwing things everywhere. And we just had to say to him, listen, son, this is the way that we run our house. Just because the dorm life was fun doesn't mean you're going to bring it into our house. Now, civil, rational discussion about boundaries. Sit down, you and Val, or you and your spouse, whoever may be listening, and say, what are the boundaries we feel are acceptable during this holiday season? You know, my mom says fish and relatives stink after 3 days. There's some truth to that. Maybe that's a boundary, that we're only going to be together for 3 days so that we don't get on each other's nerves. We're not going to tell you what boundaries to set, but when you set those boundaries, you set the stage for a joyous and a happy Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
We need to answer Nancy Martin's question from Alma, Michigan.
Nancy wants to know why, when standing in line with your husband or standing in front of a green screen with your husband, does his hand automatically go to her rear? Well, Nancy, the answer is very simple. Inside of every woman's behind, there is a hand magnet, and it just naturally goes right down there. Okay, there you go.
Just for Nancy and Dave from Alma, Michigan.
Thank you for your question. We really appreciate it, and we hope you'll tune in next week as we help you celebrate your marriage during this holiday season.